Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture of general medicine where I make a dreadful topic easy to learn. And I shall be referring to the book by Medi Go, which has mind maps on general medicine. Every topic is explained in great pictorial representation, which is much easier to learn than the conventional books. If you'd like to get your hands on this book, you can go on to Amazon, Flipkart, or any e-commerce site like Dental Cart and get this book for yourself. And if you are amongst the 100 viewers for this video, then you can also use the mentioned code for a discount offer. Let's get into the lecture for today. So the topic we are covering today is one of a type of hepatitis. Hepatitis has several causes, but the most important and the most common cause is viral infections. And the most severe infection caused by virus, which leads to hepatitis, is the one by hepatitis B. So the topic for today is hepatitis B. As I always say that every topic must be covered up under some headings. So starting for hepatitis B, let's come on to the introduction. So to introduce the topic, hepatitis B belongs to the Hepatinaviride family, which is a family of the viruses which leads to hepatitis. So it has the Dane particle, which is the infectious particle of hepatitis and has a size of up to 42 nanometer in diameter. Now, when the structure of hepatitis B virus is studied, there is a surface of the virus and there is a core particle in the virus. The surface of the virus leads to an antigen, which is the surface antigen HBsAg, and the core of the virus leads to another antigen, which is HBc. Now, the core is covered with an envelope, which forms the HBe antigen or the envelope antigen. So hepatitis B is a type of DNA virus and it is considered as a silent killer because initially in the prodromal stage, it does not have very severe symptoms. So it is known as a silent killer or a silent epidemic. It has a highest prevalence in dentists because we are frequently exposed to needle stick injuries or burr and file injuries. And any patient which is a carrier or is infected with hepatitis B can transfer the infection to the dentist as well. Also, the incubation period of this virus is up to 1 to 6 months, which is 30 to 180 days. Incubation period is up to which the virus stays in the body and can produce symptoms. Now, if we studied the structure of the virus, it contains a Dane particle and the genome. Dane particle is the main virus which causes the infection, and genome is what DNA or RNA it consists inside its structure. So hepatitis B is a DNA virus as we studied. So the Dane particle is the complete infective virion part of the virus. It is spherical in shape and is of 42 nanometer size as we studied over here. It is double layered. That means the envelope is of 2 layers as we can see over here. Now coming to the genome or the antigens which are responsible for the infection of hepatitis B, there are 3 antigens: the surface antigen, core antigen and envelope antigen. So the surface antigen is also known as the Australia antigen and is commonly present in the blood and leads to immunogenic response in the body. It activates the immune system of the body and is then acted upon by the immune cells in the human cells. The HBc antigen or the core antigen is strictly intracellular. It does not interact with the immune cells of the body because it is present inside the structure of the virus. And it is not used as a serological marker because if it is present inside the virus, no blood test is going to show HBc antigen in the blood until unless the virus ruptures or the virus is killed by the body. Only then will the core antigen be spilled into the blood and seen in the blood test. HBe antigen or the envelope is a marker of viral replication because if HBe antigen increases, it means that the virus is able to replicate and increase its number, due to which the quantity of HBe antigen is increasing in blood. So these are the markers which form the structural entity of hepatitis B virus. After we know the structure, we need to know how this hepatitis B transmits itself and why is it so infective. So coming on to transmission, the source of infection for hepatitis B is infected humans and carriers. Infected human is someone who has the infection in acute stage. The person is infected right now. Whereas chronic carrier is someone who has had infection in the past and now the virus is in latent stage but present inside the body. Any trigger can convert the chronic state into an infective acute stage. Secondly, there can be vertical or congenital transfer, which is from mother to child during pregnancy. So in utero, during parturition or soon after birth, the virus can be transferred from the mother to the child. And it does not transfer via breastfeeding because the size of the virus is not enough that it can enter the milk in the breastfeeding process. Next, there can be horizontal transmission, which is the most dominant mode. It does not involve mother to child transfer, but instead it can be an exposure to infectious body fluids like saliva, urine, or semen, or through the mucous membrane and abrasions on the skin. This is the most common type of transmission which happens in dentistry also. If a patient infected by hepatitis B is injected with LA or any other syringes used in the patient, and that very syringe gets poked into the dentist, that can cause horizontal transmission of hepatitis B. Also, intravenously, mother to child transmission can also happen, and after parturition or birth as well. Now, there can be close personal contact, which is unprotected heterosexual or homosexual intercourse, which can also lead to the transfer of hepatitis B because it can transfer via semen. So, any body fluid which comes in contact from an infected to an uninfected person can cause the transmission of hepatitis B. After we know the transmission, we need to know how the hepatitis B infection projects in the body. So, what are the serologic markers by which we know that a person is infected by hepatitis B virus? So, the basic pathophysiology of hepatitis B virus is that the virus, it enters the body and it is attracted to liver because it is a hepatotropic virus. In the liver, it damages the hepatocyte cells, and the antibodies in the body recognize these hepatocytes as something wrong and starts to killing them. This leads to a damage of the cells and a damage of liver. This leads to an inflamed liver and the situation of hepatitis. So when the virus is present in the body, what all is released or shown by the virus that the tests can detect it? So there are three main antigens as we studied, HBs, E and C. But we know that C can never be expressed because that lies in the core. So the most important antigen responsible is HBs or the surface antigen. And that is the first antigen which represents in the blood. So HBs antigen starts as the first antigen present in the blood, followed by the antibodies against this HBs antigen. When the antigen is present in the body, the antibodies try to compensate and kill it. So therefore, HBs antigen is also going to be high, and eventually the antibodies against it are also going to be seen in the blood. So either we can use antigen for the test or we can use the antibody for the test. After the initial response, the anti-HBC IgM antibodies increase because eventually the situation moves on to immune cells and IgM and IgG take up the action. And then later in a chronic stage, the surface antigen is exposed and that leads to the activation of antibodies, which are the anti-HBs antibodies. So these form the serological markers for hepatitis B and must be remembered in this very order. If we see a comparative analysis of all these, so if HBs antigen is present, it means the infection is acute and high infectivity is present. If anti-HBC is present, means antibody is present, recovery might be happening or an acute infection can be present. If IgM is present, it means the situation is acute. But if IgG is present, it means the situation is chronic. And over time, IgG starts to appear in the blood. If IgM is present, HBs is also present, but anti-HBe has also appeared. Then also the infection becomes acute because envelope is also being presented in the blood. It means the infective stage is very high. The virus is replicating. Next, if HBs antigen is absent, it means hepatitis is not in its acute stage. If antibodies against the hepatitis are present, it means the person has recovered from the infection. And lastly, if only the antibodies are present and no other marker is present, it means the patient has received vaccination for hepatitis and is not really infected or was not affected with hepatitis virus. Now, after we know how to diagnose the serology of the hepatitis B virus, we must know the preventive measures so as to prevent the occurrence of hepatitis B infection and to prevent the spread of it. So to do that, first and the foremost is if the exposure has not yet happened, Then the patient must be given hepatitis B vaccination. It is very important to be given to children as well as to adults. Secondly, risk factors must be avoided like needle stick injuries and transmission from infected carriers. Needle sharing should not be done and safe sex must be had. Also, screening of blood must be done before transfusion because that is a very potent way to transmit infection from one person to another. Also, there should be strict standard safety precautions whenever any dental or medical treatment is being performed. Now, if the patient has been struck with a needle or has come in contact with someone who has hepatitis and is sure that some contact has happened, then post-exposure we need vaccination or we need immunoglobulin injection, which must be given within 24 hours. These two methods can produce instant antibodies within 24 hours and can combat the virus which has entered into the body. Now, once we know that hepatitis B has occurred, we need to diagnose it using investigations and then treat it according to the investigations which have been found. So, to investigate hepatitis B virus, first of all, we do urine test. Herein, we will see an increased amount of urobilinogen. Because the liver is not functioning fine, so the bile is not going to enter into the intestine and is going to be roaming around in the body as unconjugated bilirubin. That is going to be filtered out by the kidneys and increased amount of urobilinogen will be present in the urine, which will give it a dark color. This shows an effect on the liver is happening right now. Next, blood tests are done. Leukopenia is seen, which means less cells are present in the body, because they are fighting against the virus and they're getting killed themselves also. ESR and the CRP is going to be raised because infection load is high in the body. Raised enzymes of the liver like AST and ALT, and the bilirubin is also going to be increased because it is not being metabolized or removed as it should have been. Next, serology testing is done. As we studied, HBs antigen is the first virological marker to appear in the blood, which peaks during the disease. It disappears in 3 to 6 months and is followed by the presence of antibody against the HBs. And a presence of HBs indicates infectious state. Next is the antibody against it, which is anti-HBs. It appears after the disappearance of HBs antigen. It signifies recovery and can even persist for lifelong state to provide protection. Next is anti-HBc, which is also a type of antibody. If it is of IgM type, it means the situation is acute. And if it is of IgG type, it means the situation is chronic. So IgM anti-HBc appears 1 to 2 weeks after the antigen, whereas IgG, it comes after 6 months because that is responsible for prolonged immunity. After this, there is the envelope antigen, which is detected transiently and indicates infectivity. It is not always present. And it also implies chronic infection if it is persistent for more than 6 weeks. Coming to antibody against HBe, it is present in the recovery phase, same as anti-HBs. And then HBV DNA or the DNA of hepatitis B virus is present soon after the HBs antigen comes because that means the infectivity is high. And also it indicates active viral replication and that the number of virus or the virus load is increasing in the body. After we have done the investigation, we need to treat the patient either prophylactically or actual active treatment. For the treatment of acute hepatitis B infection, we recommend rest, proper nutrition, plenty of fluids and close monitoring, as must be done for any infection in the body. Next, if the infection is chronic, we need to give antivirals, interferon injections, and liver transplant might also be required. For antiviral medications, we can give direct acting antivirals or we can give analogs for nucleoside and nucleotide inhibitors. So you can use entacavir, tenofovir, lamivudine, edufovir, and telibuvidine. So these all are antiviral drugs. Other than these, you can give interferon injections which have direct action on the virus DNA. So you can use interferon alpha 2b, which is mainly for people who are young and have gotten a hepatitis. But interferon injections are used less because they have side effects like nausea, vomiting, difficulty in breathing, and depression. Finally, the requirement of liver transplant can be there if severe hepatitis has happened and it has progressed to liver cirrhosis or fatty liver. In those cases, the liver is not going to perform its adequate function and transplantation might be required. A key aspect to be studied in viral infections is about vaccination. So what about hepatitis B vaccine? The hepatitis B vaccine is of several types. It can be given in combinations with vaccines of other diseases. Like this first vaccine combination is used for diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, hepatitis, and polio, named as pediatrics. Similarly, these combinations can be used, which can also involve hemophilus infection, hepatitis A and B given together. So these combinations are used so that there are several infections which are being covered in one vaccine. These are the types of vaccine which are present. The route of administration is intramuscular always. Next, vaccination schedule. For a newborn person, the first dose has to be given within 24 hours of birth. Second dose happens at 1 to 2 months and third dose at 6 to 18 months. For adults, 3 doses are given at a stage of 0, 1 and 6 months. No dose must be missed or delayed because that just ruins the whole cycle. For HIV positive persons, for infants born to mothers who have hepatitis, for hemodialysis patients, the hepatitis B vaccine is recommended. What happens when the vaccine is given? It results in the formation of anti-HBs antibody, which is more than 10 milliliter units, or it can be less than. If it is more than 10, it means the person's vaccination is working. If it is less than 10, it means the person's vaccination is not of use and revaccination is required. Contraindications of every vaccine includes a potent reason, which is allergy, severe allergic reaction to the vaccine component, or after a prior dose, if allergy occurred, the next dose must not be given. Also, if there is hypersensitivity to yeast, it's highly possible that the person will be hypersensitive to the vaccine also. Once the hepatitis has occurred, the complications which can occur are fulminant hepatitis, which is deadly form of hepatitis. Liver cirrhosis can happen because the hepatocytes can go on getting damaged and the liver structure is going to get nodular and fibrotic, leading to cirrhosis. This cirrhosis can also convert to hepatocellular carcinoma because of consistent damage which is happening, and benign nodules can convert into malignant ones. Also, a patient can convert into chronic carrier state, wherein the patient contains the body in his body for a long period of time, and the infection can get active also and can get transferred also. So these are the complications of hepatitis B infection. For anything which you are studying during the lecture, you can always open up the app by Medi Go and create a flashcard or a small note within the app, which you can later on attach to your preparation. To leave you before this lecture ends, I'm going to give you one such flashcard. Flashcard is a very easy method to solve a question and not look at its answer. Test your brain and then look at the correct answer. For example, for this topic, why are dentists at high risk of HBV? Because dentists are exposed to so many transfusions, needle stick injuries, or injuries due to the dental burrs, dental files. So that's why the dentists are at a frequent exposure to blood and saliva, which leads to hepatitis B being transferred. Next, I'm going to also give you an MCQ because MCQs form key part of our preparation for NEET exams. For example, here we have an MCQ on this topic. The first serological marker to appear in the hepatitis B infection is what? So the first serological marker we studied, there are 3 markers, HBs, HBe and HBc. HBs is the most important and the first one to appear. So the answer shall be HBs antigen. And then you can easily view the answer to the question which you've just solved along with the explanation on our app by Medi Go, which you can download via Play Store or App Store on iOS as well as on Android. If you ever get to download the app, you can visualize what all tools you have. You can use mind maps, notes, videos, flashcards, and even MCQs. You can solve these, create new flashcards for yourself, create mind maps for yourself, and use this app efficiently for your preparation. If you would like to watch more such videos in general medicine, let me make general medicine easy to be studied. You must subscribe our channel by Medi Go on YouTube. Do like this video, drop a comment for any doubt you have, and we'll reach out to you. Also, you can get our mind map book on any e-commerce platform using the code shared in this video before. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, do like this video and keep subscribing and following us. Thank you.